With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Do you like racetracks that have the name Ring in them? Do you like racetracks that bring plenty of speed but also plenty of complexity? Then tonight is the place to be. Tonight, the Precision Racing League will get things rolling at 2 tracks with the name Ring included in them. Tonight, we start off with the iRacing powered by VCO as we go racing at iRacing's virtual Hungaroring here on RaceSpot. Good evening, everyone. My name is Justin Prince. Alongside me in the booth tonight is Joey Devon as we welcome you into the booth. And it's going to be a fun time because it's open wheel racing o'clock, Joey, which means it's time to see how these championship battles fare out for the second half of their seasons.
And my ears are ringing, so I'm very, very excited. I promise this shirt is thematic. It might say Pittsburgh on it, but we will be racing at the Nürburgring tonight as well. We got the Hungaroring for the IRO4s. We got the Nürburgring GP layout for the F3s. The Nürburgring is in Germany. The German national anthem has the same melody as the University of Pittsburgh song. Dear old Pittsburgh alma mater. Da-na-na-na. You get the idea. So this is thematic, I promise.
An interesting way to put it, but let's take a look at the schedule in turn, because we mentioned Hungaroring is the place to be tonight. Plenty of Grand Prix circuits on the schedule in the closing stages, this starting the stretch of them. You have Silverstone, Imola, Spa, Suzuka in the second half of the season, meaning if you like traditional open wheel circuits in terms of those in the major series, come to the right place for the next few weeks, Joey.
If you like F1, well, you've got like a quarter of that, because this is the IRO4s. We go to the Hungaroring this week. Silverstone, actually somewhat similar to the Hungaroring, a little bit longer, a little bit faster, much better places to pass as well. Imola, tight and twisty, only recently re-added to the Formula One calendar, but it's been popular on iRacing for quite a while. Spa, of course, some might consider it a little bit oversized for IRO4, for F4 level competition, but those series in real life do race at Spa, and they put on pretty great racing. And then, of course, what better way to end the season than Suzuka? Long straights, some heavy braking zones. No better way to end the season.
On that note, let's take a look at how this season has played out so far. Remember, drop week is factored in the championship points as this season progresses. Right now, though, one driver has been dominant throughout the campaign, getting near max points in every single round except the most recent one. That is Hamilton Akaboeasy. Kevin Santana, though, picked up the win last time out, closed up the gap. Yampa Ben, Phil Magnan, and Dave Peterson currently inside the top 5. Those drivers currently separated by 55 points, Joey.
And you might think that Kevin Santana's win last week would be bad luck because he won his 13th race in PRL open wheel competition. But Kevin Santana runs the number 666 on his car, so somehow I doubt that he's superstitious. And win number 13, might actually prove to be good luck for him.
Absolutely, we'll have to see how things play out today. Meanwhile, when you look at how things play out on the team side, YS Motorsports Black has the team advantage. It's worth noting Blown Tranny Racing did not score points last round. That cost them now a 53-point deficit after being tightly compressed as part of that championship prior to that. EHR Racing, YS Motorsports Gold, Crikey Esports, the top 5.
YS Motorsports have been given a gift in the championship. Owen McLaughlin was out last week. He's usually a guaranteed bunch of points for Blown Tranny Racing, but it looks like they're all back. I think I saw Owen McLaughlin in the field. Yes, I did. I see Tyler Gore, and I see David Hebert as well, so their fight back begins now.
Gonna take a lot of work, though, and some luck to be able to close up in the IRA 04 team standings. As we get ready for racing here at the Hungaroring, we'd like to remind you that tonight's action is brought to you in part by Virtual Competition Organization, also known as VCO. Tonight, also brought to you by Advanced Sim Racing, owned and operated by passionate sim racers. Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision5 coupon code. Tonight also brought to you by Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, their button boxes are a valuable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com for 5% discount using the Precision5 coupon code. Tonight also brought to you by RaceLab. They help you improve driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the most out of iRacing. Start visiting out for free, racelab.app. Tonight also brought to you by The Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products include incredible immersion, bring realism to every game. For every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. And by Ninja Trader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting more than 60,000 users across the globe, Ninja Trader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. Trader is always free to use for advanced charting, back testing, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started. Risk-free trading simulator to start tracking performance. Drivers currently in the midst of qualifying, 20 minutes open qualifying, down to the final 30 seconds. And shouldn't be surprised to see Hamilton Akabuizi towards the top of the board. Philip Magnan currently 16, him on racetrack. Difference between their spots, about 1.5 seconds. That is how big Akabuizi's advantage is. His next nearest competitor, Andrew Moran, about 8/10 back jump.
Yeah, some people call this place the Hungry Ring, and Akabuizi has been eating this place up all night. He was like you said, a second and a half quicker than the rest of the field in practice. He pulls out 8/10 over the rest of the field in qualifying. I thought he might have been able to steal maybe a little bit of draft in practice to artificially inflate that gap a little bit, and he may have, but even without any inflation, Akabuizi is still absolutely dominant here, and it's going to be critical to kind of put him off of his game on lap 1, if that's even possible, if you want to prevent him from driving off into the sunset tonight.
Check flag already waving. Drivers currently in the midst of their laps must complete their laps to try and set a time and or pull off to the side. Cristelli had an invalidated lap time there. Sean Duhamel was one of the final drivers to cross the stripe. 144.3, his personal best in the 144.1. Michael Blaze, the last driver to be able to set a time. He and David Hebert are the only drivers left on the circuit this qualifying session. About 1 minute and 36 seconds to work with.
Michael Blaze has had kind of a troubled season. He's had some great speed. He's had some great pace over the course of the season, and I think he's actually finished out a couple of good results. But he's also had a couple of spins, he's had a couple of incidents, and he's trying to really clean things up here. Now that it is the second half of the season, now is the time to do so. The number 100, clean and tidy through the final sector here at the Hungaroring. Maybe a little bit wide through the final corner, but he does eventually get it down, hits the apex late, on the throttle. Can he improve from a 144.6? No, he can just do a 144.6 again.
closes out qualifying a minute early as drivers have completed the lap times they can record around the racetrack today. And as the drivers prepare for the race today, your thoughts on what to expect from the Hungaroring in turn, as we've already seen how big the spread is this week for qualifying.
Yeah, when you go 3 steps up the ladder to F1, the Hungaroring is kind of known as a track where it's very, very difficult to pass. But we are in much smaller vehicles. There are a couple of longer straights at the Hungaroring where the draft is helpful if you are close enough to the car in front of you. Andrew Moran's ultimate task, Guillaume Pauvin's ultimate task, is just to stick with a Caboese for as long as you can so you don't lose him, because if you lose a Caboese's draft, he's driving off into the distance tonight.
Boise picking up his 3rd pole this season in this session. Final seconds start to tick down. 29 drivers making starts tonight. Of note, James O'Brien returning to the field 28 did not set a time. We'll get to that in a moment. Hamilton Akaboese with a blistering time, 8/10 clear of Andrew Moran tonight. Jan Pavan and David Cristelli the top 4. Kevin Santana coming off a win last time out starts in 5th alongside Philippe Magnin for Unit Sim Sports. Michael Dowden starts in 7th. Matt Brzezinski starts in 8th. Austin Harris, Sean Duhamel the top 10. Dave Peterson and Steven Martinez round out the first dozen. Zealous Burning starts in 13th. Samuel Ma 2.3 seconds back in 14th. Michael Blaze and Corey Precker around the middle of the field. Zachary Zert and Michael Koenga start inside the top 18. Kevin Bergquist and Owen McLaughlin, Eric Koenga and Brad Winter around the back of the field. Tyler Gore starts 23rd, with Donald Olson 3.6 seconds back, 24th. Ian Cabana, the last driver to set a time, along with Adam Sands and David Hubert. And as mentioned, 2 drivers did not set times this session, James O'Brien and Bruce Bridges. Waiting for the last of the drivers to join up for the starting grid. Your expectations for this one?
Well, Andrew Moran's only task, Andrew, if you're listening to the broadcast, your one job here is to absolutely send it on a Caboese into turn 1. That's going to be your chance to prevent him from driving off into the distance tonight. You've got to be aggressive early on. You've got to get a good start here. It's your one chance to take him down.
As you see with the track conditions, very cool this evening. 77 degrees Fahrenheit the track temperature, 75 the air temperature, 11 mile per hour winds. Those currently gusting around the circuit with clear blue skies outside of that for a morning in-sim race. Just waiting for one more driver to make the starting grid. That driver is ready to go. It's time to rev up the engines. Are you ready to go racing from the Hungaroring? Glad to have you with us. The lights are out. We're underway from the Hungaroring. Easy with a solid start. Moran keeping it to the inside. Keeping it just underneath the tire of the 107. Deeper on the brakes. Move Andrew Moran to the race lead off the jump.
Andrew Moran listened to my advice. That's exactly what he needed to do. But now he's got to defend from Hamilton to Caboese for 19 laps. He's already going to give up the inside to a Caboese down the hill into turn 2 rather. And Caboese's already retaken the lead.
Long though. Yes, indeed. Moran's coming back. Moran able to get the crossover to take the race lead on back. Boise backing it up this time for the next complex. Here he comes again.
Very well defended by Moran there. I thought he had it given up, but he did a great job of recovering. Trouble for YS Motorsports. Austin Harris is around at turn 4. I think he might have clipped the grass because I don't see anybody else involved there. And there goes Moran offline, and there goes a Caboese through.
Caboese going through the S's to make the move work this time. Really working their way through sector 3, back and forth for the race lead so far. And as well as David Cristelli also staying in the tow as they reach the 3rd sector. Another spin in the back. In Cabana, Eric Koenga have gone around as well. There is Cabana at the back of the field for Crikey Esports. Moran under attack for 2nd as they make their way off to turn 13. There goes Pavan up to 2nd.
Very late in the brakes, very well moved. I was worried for Guillaume Pavan there on lap 1 in these IRO4s. When you brake that late into turn 13, it is very, very easy to loop it around in kind of the midsection of the braking. But he was able to get it slowed down. He was able to jump Moran there. And now he's got to prevent a Caboese from running off into the distance again. There's about 0.8 of a second for him to keep pace. See if Guillaume Pavan has the pace to do that.
19 laps on the board. Starting off second time around this time. Dave Cristelli on board with. Behind him, though, Kevin Santana under attack. It's Michael Dowden working his way from the right side of the racetrack. Look from Magnan as he has a picture-clear view of this battle, trying to peek around.
I think Philippe Magnan was hoping that they would have gone side by side for a little bit longer. They were doing a good job of holding each other up there, but Santana ended up getting back through. Michael Dowden recently joined this series just one race ago, and he's been doing a great job ever since he showed up on the scene. I think he finished in the top 5 last week at Tsukuba, currently fighting last week's winner for P5 at the Hungaroring. The New Jersey driver, I'm always biased towards them, but Michael Dowden's doing a great job.
Good launch so far for him, up 1 spot in this running order. He picked up a solid amount of points, as mentioned, 23 last time out. So a clean run to start off. The top 10 able to have a bit of a breakaway from the mid-pack already in this race. Your biggest mover of note is James O'Brien, who's up 8 spots after not setting a qualifying time for this round in the second round of the season. Still keep an eye on Dowden, though, and keeping close. And that's the major thing. You talked about how difficult it can be to pass. How do you set that up in turn around this circuit? The best place to do it.
Your best place to do it's at turn 1. So this last corner here, turn 14, this is really critical. Unfortunately, it's very, very difficult to follow a car behind. Even in these IRO4s where there's little tiny wings, there's not that much aero wash. It is still difficult to follow in the dirty air out of that corner. So you've got to figure out, you've got to think almost oval style. You've got to think over to Martinsville or somewhere where you're doing sort of a cutback. You're trying to diamond off the corner to maximize your speed onto the front straight and try and get in the draft and send it into turn 1, because you're not getting many other chances elsewhere on the lap unless the driver in front of you makes a mistake.
Speaking of mistakes, by the way, we already have our first tow of the race. Marcellus Bruning had fallen down the pylon twice last lap. He has now stayed in the pit lane for 40 seconds. Here's a look in the mid-pack, meanwhile. They got up a few spots already. Ultra Motorsports trying to find a way forward. Steven Martinez up ahead. These drivers are at the head of what is essentially the third group.
Michael Kalaga winning the Inter-Kalaga battle. It looks like Guillaume Hovan has gone around up front, though, for P2. I think Moran might have been involved as well. He might have damage.
Yes, indeed. The battle for second has exploded. And this is as a result of what appears to be a incident on Pavan's own that sparked that off. As a result of some of the sausage curves, Moran did not get involved, though. Here's a look.
Cut into that a little bit late. Looked like he lost control under braking, which I thought he might have done a little bit earlier. Does he have any damage from hopping over those curbs is my concern. I think based on the braking there, he might. Somebody in the background throwing it off the road as well. One of the blown tranny drivers, that's Tyler Gore. But yeah, Guillaume Hovan definitely has damage from hopping over those sausage curbs. And Moran didn't get any damage, but he had to do a huge checkup for Hovan's spin in that chicane, and that almost lost his position to David Cristelli, but it looks like he's been able to fight that back.
I was about to say where he rejoined for reference was right where we're keeping an eye prior to that with Michael Kolinga and his pack. Here's a look at Sean Duhamel trying to work with his teammate now. How beneficial will teamwork be throughout this race? They've already broken away from Michael Blaze.
It's good to have a teammate behind you when you're trying to catch up to the train that's a little bit further ahead, because after Moran's checkup, Moran, Cristelli, Santana, Dowden, Magnan, and Ridzuski are all riding in a train here. I think Duhamel and Peterson probably have the pace to join that train, but if they were fighting each other, they'd be too busy fighting each other to do so. They'd just be holding each other up. But I'm sure both of them are in the VHR Racing Discord, if that exists. They're talking to each other. They're saying, you know what, Dave? You might be a little bit quicker right now, but let's just wait a little bit. Let's try and catch the train, and once we do that, we can fight a little bit more.
Meanwhile, there goes Kolinga, and there goes more drivers. Kevin Bergquist, Steven Martinez around. Donald Olson able to escape through that section. Martinez already towed from that trouble.
That was bizarre. Just a little mistake from Kalaga, and then it looked like about half the field just decided to follow him off the road up there in turn 5. Adam Sands just clipped the sand there, holding off Bergquist, and there is the blown tranny car of Owen McLaughlin finally electing to pull off. I imagine he has big damage from whatever happened at turn 5, and there goes Cristelli up to second. It's all kicking off, Justin.
Should be worth noting, McLaughlin was the car who hit Martinez in the sequence. But the battle indeed is on for second. Cristelli taking advantage again of positions. Here is where the trouble brews, though. Back half of the field, there's hit one. There's McLaughlin coming in.
Yeah, McLaughlin looked like he just got a little bit kind of target fixated there. He didn't really need to get involved in that accident, but he just got fixated on what was going on in front of him, and he blew himself into the accident and ended up hitting Martinez and unfortunately destroying that car. But look at this, we're almost 3 wide into turn 5 as Kevin Santana wants to get as close to a Caboese as he can, and he might get a shot. He gets to the inside of Moran in turn 3.
Nearly cutting into the right side tire. Will avoid major contact, though. Of note, Pavan has just had to tow the car from an incident. Kalinga also spun at the start of this lap. Santana trying to set up the middle of this lap for the run. Can't take it anywhere. Moran trying to send it to the right side. Heading off to the corner. Can't send it properly up through 5. Off to 6 and 7.
We're seeing a ton of corrections here. Just mid-corner corrections. Kevin Santana heavy on the brakes, distracting me from my anecdote there. But there's a lot of corrections mid-corner here. These IRO4s, especially on these fixed iRacing setups, are very, very squishy on the suspension. They're just very, very marshmallowy for some reason. That's why they love to spin in some of the heavy braking zones, and that's always why you're almost constantly overcorrecting them in the middle of those high-speed corners, like at turn 5, like at turn 14. It's almost impossible to just hold the wheel straight, and I have to imagine once we get later on in the run and the tires start to wear a little bit that we might start to see things get a little bit spinny again.
Indeed, it's been a difficult race for some. Pavan is out of the race as a result of the incidents we mentioned. Martinez still on the tow truck as McLaughlin is as well. For those interested in those who have had significant issues this run. Michael Dowden, though, you saw his praises earlier. He's in the top 5 already and has also joined this conversation realistically.
He's got a lot of skill around him. He's got Santana ahead of him, who's going to be difficult to pass. He's got Magnan behind him, who's going to be difficult to keep behind. But personally, Justin, I am not doubting his abilities.
I couldn't tell if you were trying to make a pun in that.
Of course I was. Of course I was.
Michael Dowden. A little bit of space to work with. The difficult part might be, though, remember, some of the aero wash that can come in. See if that impacts things on his progression. By the way, Sean Duhamel has just spun around inside the top 10 in the 617 car. Had been running inside the top 8, has just also joined the tow.
There's a big grid coming into tonight. 29, 28 cars. I think we already have about 5 or 6 of them on pit lane right now. So it's been a little bit of an attrition fest early on, but the Hungaroring likes to bite. And I'm sure we'll see what happens to Sean Duhamel right on cue. Yes, we will. That's a weird place to spin. A little bit wide in the exit of turn 2 coming down the hill. Just trying to carry a little bit too much speed. Clip the grass there. Very weird place to spin. I'm sure Sean Duhamel might be a little bit kind of embarrassed by that. He's like, I didn't hit that grass once in practice or qualifying, and I have to hit it in race time now. But those things happen when you're trying to extend the limits.
Magnan, meanwhile, holding on to the back end of the main group of cars here. And these are 6 seconds behind, or so behind Akaboeasy as well. Magnan's been doing a solid job in this race, though, holding on to the starting spot, keeping himself for the conversation so far.
Yeah, Philippe Magnan has been kind of rock solid all season. He's been a driver who likes to pick up the pieces. Michael Dowden just dove it to the inside of Kevin Santana. Again, he's been the distractor in chief tonight. No anecdotes allowed when Michael Dowden is on your screen because he's about to do something spectacular. Santana blocked that a little bit, but Dowden said, there's a Michael Dowden shaped hole here. I'm going to send it in, and I'm going to pass Kevin Santana for 4th.
Santana doesn't seem to have liked that. He wants the spot back. Tries to make the move work out of 3, now off to turn 4. Magnan trying to follow the hole. Dowden not lifting, though. Trying to squeeze him off. Santana now with the preferred line for turn 5, though, on the bottom of the racetrack. Dead even. Someone has to give off to the chicane. Will it be anybody? No. Neither of them back off as Santana gets a rub.
Oh. Santana's lucky he didn't get in the wall there. Just a little bit of argy-bargy as they tried to argue through the chicane. I'm sure Santana's going to be unhappy about that. I think Dowden he didn't really outbrake himself necessarily, but he did take quite a bit of speed and ended up just kind of spearing into the side of Santana there. So Santana's probably very unhappy about that. No damage for him, though. He's lucky in that way, and Dowden's got even more pressure behind him now.
Absolutely plenty of bumping has been going on to some of the parts of the pack. By the way, Donald Olsen now out of the race. Here comes the run for Santana, though, in the backdrop. He's trying to battle with the 111. One trying to make the move. Ruski doesn't have the pull, though. Santana does out of the corner.
Looks like Philippe Magnan can't decide who he wants to tow. He moved over to tow Radzuski, then he moves over to tow Santana, and Santana does end up getting the position there. And Kevin's been later on the brakes than Radzuski this whole time, so it's understandable that he's probably just going to run away with this position and go chase down Philippe Magnan now. But good on Radzuski for fighting that. Every position matters, and he certainly did put up a good fight on Kevin Santana. The draft just didn't quite work in his favor.
Absolutely. Keep in mind with how some of the battling is fared out, Cristelli and Moran essentially have broken apart from Dowden, from Magna, from Santana, from Radzuski, just because they've been staying line astern. We've mentioned the battling, the more you fight, the more time you risk losing. You have to get it done quick.
You do have to get it done quick, especially here when it's so tight, when it's such tight quarters that if you go side by side, you basically have to check up to make sure you're keeping yourselves within the confines of the racetrack and not taking each other out. Dowden and Santana only went side by side for about a quarter of the lap, and then they made a little bit of contact, and that expanded the gap, like you said, to 4.5 seconds now, up to Cristelli and Moran. What they are hoping for back here is that Cristelli and Moran start fighting again, which they haven't. They're also hoping that Dowden has the pace to keep pulling them forward.
If they start fighting, though, Dave Peterson and Michael Blaze have been working together. Blaze a couple laps ago over the radio said, if we can work together, we can catch them. They are within 2 seconds of the 4th through 7th place cars. They haven't fought. They've just stayed around this distance trying to work together.
Maybe it's something about being Canadian, but Michael Blaze has always been, he's always been the driver who works with other drivers. He's always been content to give a draft in qualifying. He's always talking on the radio about how he wants to help people out in practice. He's given me a draft a couple times. I always seem to spin when I'm behind him. I remember last season in F3, every single time Michael Blaze elected to help me out in practice or in qualifying, I ended up wrecking immediately after. So he's kind, but maybe it was bad luck for me. It's not been bad luck for Dave Peterson, though. They're doing a good job together.
25-point score last time. There's a look towards the middle of the pack they're trying to close into. They have ditched Radzuski by more than a second. They have stopped battling, approaching the halfway point of this race for the time being. Take a look at some of the biggest movers on the side of your screen. Your biggest mover in the field. Should be surprised. James O'Brien has gained about half the spots in the grid, plus 14, 15 spots already to 13.
I hope James O'Brien comes up and talks to us some week. You don't necessarily have to finish in the top 3 to come talk to us. So James O'Brien, I want to hear specifically why you're electing to start from the pits every week, because I have a theory. My theory is that you're just here for a little bit of fun. You're happy to start from the pits and see how many passes you can make through the field, and that's what he's been successful at doing. I think last week at Tsukuba, he was the biggest mover as well. He's done that so many times this season. He started from the pits, and he's finished closer to the top 10 just by keeping it on track. That proves that that's the most important thing to do in a series like this. Keep it on track, don't hit any other cars, and you're probably guaranteed a pretty good result.
So keep an eye on 4 through 6 plays. Radzuski's tires have fallen off a cliff. Through the last corner in the backdrop, he had drifted his way through turn 14. He is loose.
It's pretty impressive in and of itself to hold a drift in this car that just loves to pendulum around and spin you. You can see into turn 1, he's gone from oversteer to understeer in the space of 2 corners. Let's see how it is down into turn 2. Little bit wide, tries to switch it back. He's got understeer there. Maybe a little bit of oversteer in turn 3. No, it looks pretty good through turn 3. So I think he's just having a little bit of trouble with the tires overheating. It's easy to do. It's easy to get stuck in that endless cycle of overheating at a track like this where you're constantly turning. There's basically no place to cool the tires down. So if you make one slide, if you overheat the tires, you're going to be struggling with that for a long time.
Meanwhile, Brad Winter nearly misses the braking zone in this pack for 15th through 17th. Second biggest mover David Hubert is in this respective pack leading the train. They are already half a track behind the leaders he is. But so far, Hebert has been able to avoid trouble. Winter wants to try and find a way around to lead the pack again.
The outside in turn 5 is not a move that works often, and he knows it. He backs out of it. He lets Hebert go back through. He's going to try and switch him back up here. This is turn 5, by the way. That was turn 4. Good exit by Winter. It's a short straight here, but there is going to be a hole to the inside of David Hebert. David Hebert is a smart driver. He knows when somebody behind him is being aggressive, it's probably better to just let them by, but he can't really let Winter by here. There's no place to do that. Winter's going to have to do it the hard way, and he's trying to make a pass in the S's.
Kalinga, who has had several spins this race, also in this conversation, trying to find a way around both of them at the rate they're going. A lot of half throttle with some of the pokes Winter's having to make.
Kalaga's just backing out, watching the show, and honestly, deep in his mind, probably hoping they take each other out. Michael Blaze has gone for a spin in turn 9, but luckily, he had like a 5-second gap back to 10th, so he hasn't actually lost anything from that spin.
Well, he did lose spot to Corey Precker. Meanwhile, another send, near contact for the 3rd time this lap. Coming around this time for this group, 9 to go, 8 to go for the leaders when they reach the stripe. Defensive line for Barrett, currently trying to hug the right side of the racetrack. Here comes Winter. Winter again deep as the send is deeper though for the 82, and there he goes again.
Kalaga clipped the curb there, spun it around, tried to accelerate on the paint, and there goes Michael Kalaga after a great move to the inside of Winter. Brad Winter has been very, very strange to watch here because he's been going for moves at all the places where you don't necessarily want to go for a move at the Hungaroring because the move isn't going to work. And then when he got the perfect opportunity coming down the front straight to get in David Hebert's draft, he just said, no, I'm not going to go for it. I'm just going to run my own line and not get close to him in turn 1. It's very, very strange to watch, but we'll see if it works for him.
That group has cut down to 2 cars. Winter not as close as the previous laps. We'll have to take some time to work here. Kalinga has spun again. For those who may have noticed, the time dropped again. Winter again sending it, this time left side, can't make it work.
Brad would be kind of inclined to go for a little bit of a switchback here through this corner in turn 10, or to turn 11 rather. It's a little bit of a straight here coming into the heavy braking zone at turn 12. That's another great place to make a move if you can get in that little bit of a draft and send it to the inside, but Winter kind of used up his opportunity earlier in the S's, lost his momentum, couldn't close it up to the back of Hebert. Now in 13, he's going to try and close it up again. We'll see if he goes for a little bit of a switchback in 14 again, and he actually decides to follow Hebert in the draft this time. It'll be a mystery here down the front straight. He is going to follow him, but let's see if Hebert even defends. He does, and Winter doesn't follow him again.
And again, doesn't try and follow the draft. Winter this time backs up the corner. At this point, expecting scheduled stops pretty soon for majority of the drivers. Last time by, a pit stop for Michael Blaze. So when do you expect to start seeing some of these break down for the pit stops to make it to the end with the 50% fuel limit?
If Michael Blaze has come in now, well, first of all, he's trying to minimize some of his losses because he spun a little bit earlier, so he's already hemorrhaged a little bit of time. Might as well give up all the time he's going to give up. But that tells me that we're starting to get a little bit low on fuel. If just one driver is coming in, though, that tells me that there's probably like 3 or 2 laps of fuel to play with. Either way, it will be a pit stop soon. You're not going to be able to make it on the Hungaroring 19 laps without pitting, but it's definitely going to be soon.
Keep that in mind in these closing stages. By the way, Winter lost ground near making contact, you noticed, through turn 4. He is quicker, though, in the midsection, it seems. Side by side, after working single file much to this run, Moran starting to poke his way around, trying to find around David Cristelli again.
That's exactly what Dowden wants to see. He's been holding Santana back. He's had 4 seconds of clean track in front of him, and he's hoping that Moran and Cristelli keep fighting like this because they are slowing each other down a ton. They were like a 1.5 seconds a lap slower than a Caboese on that last lap, and they were only fighting for about half of the lap. So Moran is going to see if he can close up a little bit here into the chicane. He's not going to be able to. They're back to single file. But Moran definitely wants to make this move, and I think he just wants to lead coming into the pits.
12 seconds back of Akboezy for reference, so this essentially is the battle for second on the podium. It can be valuable, absolutely, for these championships. Santana, the winner last time out, still in 5th. Coming up to the final sector, we'll see if they peel on down. Last time it was Precker, Harris, as well as Samuel Maher coming on down. 2 of those 3 are in the same pack. Michael Blaze cycled behind Precker and Harris. Here we go. One look to the pit. A fake out by Moran. He wants to go for the overcut.
Not sure how that's going to work out for him, but it's better be qualifying lap times here. Moran, he had to check up a little bit behind Cristelli because he was thinking about coming in, and then he decided at the last minute to pull out after checking himself up a little bit. So Andrew Moran's got to find qualifying speed here. This is the only thing that can count. There's no tire changes in this series. The tires are simply too hard, and the races are too short for a tire change to matter at all. So it all comes down to lap time on the same tires. Cristelli only 4.6 seconds in the pits. That's about normal. He's got to maximize his speed here. So does Moran.
Cristelli came in the same lap as Michael Dowden. Dowden lost 2 seconds in the pit lane, 1 second in the lane, so he does not close up. Double 09 machine with the pit stop. Drivers up towards the front yet to pit. Akboezy, Moran, Santana, Mignon along with Mazursky. Also yet to pit, James O'Brien, who's up to a race high 7.
I'm not going to count James O'Brien out for a top 10 here. With the troubles everybody else has been having, he was up to like 13th overall, if I remember correctly. He only needs a couple more instants to get up there in the top 10. But Akboezy should be in on this lap. I have to imagine that this is going to be the hard end of the fuel tank if everybody else came in 1 lap earlier. Let's see here through turn 13. He's got a huge gap, so it should be just straightforward. Yep, into the pit entry. He can lift off a little bit. Akboezy's in, and that means everybody else will be. And we see Akboezy for the first time. There he is.
Looks like he's got a pet cactus watching along.
Yeah, nice cactus.
Yes, he has been having a very, how do I put this, Sunday Drive-esque race today. As soon as he finished things up on the opening lap of the passes, he took off like a rocket.
Andrew Moran did exactly what I told him to do. He fought Akboezy as hard as he could on those opening corners, but Akboezy just simply had too much pace. When you're 0.8 of a second faster than the field in qualifying, you're basically going to be impossible to beat unless you make a mistake and take yourself out. But Hamilton Akboezy doesn't often make those mistakes, so it's not really a surprise that he's still up here fighting for the win, and he's actually a pit stop ahead of Matt Radzuski, who's trying to go around for 1 more lap.
Moran has cycled in front of Cristelli. For now, keep in mind, off the race, off the line, Kevin Santana also cycling ahead of Dowden by about a second. On cycling around Dowden. So Moran able to jump ahead of Cristelli on the 1-lap overcut. He ended up having near identical time in the lane for reference. Santana now on his lonesome.
Santana's very, very lonely now, but that might be a good thing because he's probably not too big of a fan of Michael Dowden behind after their little kerfluffle in the chicane, and he probably doesn't want to fight with Fleet Magnan either because he knows that he's a tough nut to crack. But now Magnan and Dowden get to fight with each other, and Santana gets to pull away. Magnan hasn't actually been able to make a move for the first 15 laps of this race, though. I don't know if that's just because he's been hanging back, he's been trying to preserve his own survival, but he's only got 4 laps to go now to actually figure out how to make a move on Dowden.
Coming up to that 4 laps to go mark, this upcoming time by, let's have a solid chance to try and figure a way around the 8 machine. They are starting to have to deal with potential traffic, keep in mind. Traffic just spun in front of second place. Bruce Bridges has just spun in front of the second place car. And this may have been a love tap that might have helped it.
I didn't see what happened to Bruce, but if he did make contact with Radzuski there, that's probably a slam dunk penalty for a lap car. He is able to recover.
Oh, that was not Radzuski. That was Moran.
Yeah.
And Moran has a car-shaped dent on his right front wing. Why?
Yeah, I got to see the Moran angle on that. I have no idea what happened there from the Bruce Bridges angle. Let's see here from the TV cam. Bridges going through the corner. That's all on Moran, actually. Moran just piled into the back of Bruce Bridges. Bruce didn't do anything wrong there. He was just running his line. Maybe he's a little bit slow on exit, but you know that's to be expected for a driver who is running 20th compared to the driver in second. It's just a little bit of bad depth perception there from Andrew Moran. I don't think he expected to be closing that quickly, and he might get a penalty for that. We'll see what Bruce decides to do.
IS Motorsports machines, meanwhile, are out to play. Suzuki cycling 11th. He took a 5-second longer pit stop than the entire top 15. The lengthy stop has cost him track position. Now, he tries to find a way to catch up to Michael Blaze, who's trying to find a way around Precker up the right side.
Great dive to the inside of turn 5 for Michael Blaze there. Very late in the brakes. He knows he can take advantage of Radzuski because he's on a little bit colder tires. He's also got 5 extra seconds of fuel in the tank for whatever reason. That was a pretty easy move there for Michael Blaze. Actually, that was over Corey Precker, rather. Matt Radzuski, who has the heavier fuel and the colder tires, is behind Precker. But Michael Blaze was able to take advantage of Corey Precker all the same.
Corey's camera view angle, and Andrew Moran has had to come into pit. Moran, with that incident, we may have crossed the incident count penalty mark of 13 incident points. It is a black flag the 99 has to serve.
We haven't talked much about track limits of the Hungaroring, and that's honestly because I haven't seen anybody really extending them that much, but clearly Andrew Moran has been, with just the 4X from Bruce Bridges, and then somehow he's accumulated 9 other off tracks, just going over the white lines at places where he's not allowed, and it has come to bite him. All of these grade 1 tracks, we're going to talk about every single one of them for the next 4 weeks. They all have track limits you've got to be careful of, and Moran's the first one to get bit.
So as a result, Moran out of the conversation for the podium, and out of the conversation for the top 5, trying to hold on to 6 with Dave Peterson for the time being, to keeping an eye on the battle for 4th spot. Trying to hold on. Dowden trying to pull away. 23 seconds back of the leader. They are closing in a bit on Kevin Santana.
I wonder if Kevin's actually saving a little bit of fuel because he was in the box for shorter than anybody else, only 3.8 seconds. So I wonder if he's under fueled a little bit. And he might have to be lifting a little bit into the corners, but we'll have to see as they close that down.
Rand lost a spot just now to Dave Peterson, meanwhile. Rand having to deal with the damage. Now having to deal with some aero wash for the back end of the 35. In the midst of the traffic, you see some of the struggle.
Big struggle there through the S's. He actually lifted off a little bit through turn 10, through turn 11 rather. I will memorize the difference between those corners one of these days, but this day is not that day. He understeered a little bit, lifted off to make it a little bit better, and then he actually made it worse for him. And again, in turn 13 there, huge understeer. It's not just the little bit of front wing damage. That car is definitely ailing after hitting Bruce Bridges, and he's honestly just got to drive it to the end now. I don't think he actually has the speed to pass Peterson.
Race has been flying on by. We're already down to the final 2 laps. Battle for 10th, still busy. Precker trying to run. He trying to gain. James O'Brien looking to try and fulfill the Joey Tebben prophecy. Will he try and send it this time up to turn 1? Not close enough.
Fulfill the prophecy, James. Fulfill it. He was actually closing up to the back of Radzuski into turn 1. He was doing a good job. He was doing everything he needs to, but this is two drivers, 2 cars that are going to be very, very difficult to pass unless they take each other out. Unless there's one more spin, unless they start fighting side by side, then James O'Brien's door is going to open. Right now, I think he might actually be content with 12th, considering he started 28th.
Massive cut to the field indeed. He has a chance at 11th, then he bins it. No. James O'Brien has crashed into the tires and has binned it from 12th. Samuel Maud just avoids him, and James O'Brien toes it and is done.
Oh, the curb just killed him there. There's absolutely nothing he could do there. That's just kind of one of those random moments where you hit a curb wrong and it just loops you around. So I'm sorry, James O'Brien. That's my fault. I jinxed you with the prophecy. But he was having a great race all the same. The random curb RNG there killed him, but we know how good he was on track. Up 16 spots before that.
We are down to the final lap this time around. Akboezy leading by 21 seconds. Trying to keep any more mistakes. Battle still going on as others try and reach the white flag. Still Rzucki trying to find a way around Precker. Precker wider arc that time. This is for the 10th spot.
Rzucki's last stand here. Unfortunately for him, Corey Precker has the draft from Michael Blaze. So it's not a DRS train despite the sign in the background, but it is a draft train. And Rzucki isn't able to close on Precker as much as he would otherwise, but he's able to dive it to the inside. Corey Precker basically opens the door for Rzucki there and kind of gives up the top 10, at least for the moment.
That's not over yet. Precker trying the long way around. The outside through 2. Trying to give a squeeze, they tap tires. Precker holds on to the preferred line for 3. How does Rzucki respond?
He's trying to stick with him in the inside in turn 4, but he's got to get back in line. That's very, very interesting. I was going to say it's impressive by Corey Precker, but I don't even know if that was entirely intentional. He completely opened the door for Rzucki, then pulled off a masterful switchback and was able to fight him back.
Out of the final corner, meanwhile, Hamilton Akaboeasy dominates and makes it look easy. For the 5th time, he will go to victory lane this season. The IR04s in the PRL, powered by VCO. Keeping an eye on some of the close battles to close out this race. Amongst them is still the battle between these two. In for the top 4. Dowden able to hold off Magnon. Dowden 4th. Leap finishing in the 5th position. The battle for 10th is also still close. Corey Precker and Matt Rzucki coming up to the final corner this time. Rzucki not able to close up. A mistake out of the final corner. Corey Precker round out tonight's top 10 from the Hungaroring.
It's kind of exactly what Corey Precker needed this season. He's had a ton of bad luck. He's had a couple of admitted bad drives from himself where he's taken himself out, but he's finally got that top 10 that he's shown us that he has the pace for all season.
Palmer amongst those who was able to take advantage of the attrition despite being a part of said attrition after not starting last round. Low trendy racing machine. Pick up a lot of points here. Gore amongst one of the final finishers, 13th position. Last cars to complete the race today. Kevin Bergquist and Eric Kalinga. Let's take a look at the unofficial race results today as Hamilton Akaboeasy makes it look lemon squeezy, easy peasy. David Cristelli finishes 2nd, a whopping 23 seconds back. Kevin Santana, Michael Dowden, Billy Magnon round out the top 5. Dave Peterson, Andrew Moran, Austin Harris, Michael Blaze, and Corey Precker, the top 10. Rzucki finishes in 11th, while Samuel Maher in 12th, Tyler Gore 13th, Kevin Bergquist in 14th, Eric Kalinga, David Hubert rounding out the lead lap finishers. Michael Kalinga finishes in 17th position, with Brad Winter, Adam Sands, and Martinez laps down. Also, a part of the DNF club tonight, Lance O'Brien, E. Cabana 2 laps down, Bruce Burgess, DNF's 5 down. Donald Olson, 13 laps down with Sean Duhamel, along with Guillaume Paven, Owen McLaughlin, Marcellus Burning. Zachary Zert was set to start in the mid-pack today, but did not take the green flag from the starting slot. Akaboeasy the fastest lap, a 1:42.5 today in Keen Air. Akaboeasy, once again, celebrate a victory. Hamilton, you made it look easy. Win number 5 by a whopping 23 seconds. How?
I mean, I just bought this track on Monday and I felt really, really good, honestly. I think just some of it, like the high-speed corners, I work really well with. And people just keep making mistakes. There's a ridiculous amount of mistakes. I knew Pavan was going to spin out. No disrespect, but I knew he was going to spin out. But there were a number of mistakes from people.
Wow, very honest response there. I have to ask then, how did you pick up so quickly on a track that you've only essentially had 4 days to learn on in the sim?
I mean, I've driven it a ton on the F1 games, but I mean, I just work well with the car, so learning any track isn't too difficult.
Well, on that note, still plenty of tracks that you may be familiar with from some of those platforms. In the next 4 races, your thoughts on the closing stage of the season to extend the points lead tonight?
Definitely looking forward to it. A lot of drafting tracks, though. That'll be some more chaos. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on your victory today. You've won half the season, 6 races already.
Thank you.
Tanaka Boise coming away with win number 5 here tonight on Carl Ring. Domination Station Joey for IRO4 competition. It's Hamilton's world, and everybody's living in it when it comes to this season.
And I was hoping we would get to talk to Kevin Santana, who won last week, put it on the podium this week, a little bit of a recovery drive, but I see no Kevin in our waiting for interview channel, unfortunately. Maybe we'll give it a couple more seconds, couple more minutes to see if he decides to show up, but yeah, you can't really say anything else about Hamilton Akabui's. Just complete domination, complete control of this vehicle, complete expertise in the IRO4. That's the only way to describe it. And if he's driven all these tracks in the F1 game, even if he hasn't driven them on iRacing, he's going to be tough to beat in the closing races of the season. And I hope we see him in F3 next season. I hope he takes the next step up and gives the drivers we're about to see a big challenge.
The next challenge on hand is this track, Silverstone GP Circuit. Coverage on November 3rd, starting at approximately 8:40 p.m. Eastern for the green light. Be sure to tune in from the UK. And we mentioned Corey Precker having a solid run tonight. The last time Joey talked to him, it was an interesting conversation. Why don't we try it again? Corey Precker is now standing by with Joey and gets to talk to him again.
Let's do it again, Corey Precker. For once, you didn't get taken out, you didn't spin, you didn't wreck, and you got a top 10. Can't hear you, Corey.
Hello, can you hear me?
There we go. Now we got you.
Sorry, I want to push the talk on Discord. Yeah, it's a wonderful result. I'll take it. I didn't have much practice, but I've just been busy with other stuff this week, but I'll take it. P10's not bad. And starting, especially since I started P16, so great result for me.
You think you can keep this streak up for the next 4 weeks? Is it lucky that we're going to F1 tracks for the whole second half of the season?
Yeah, I think it's lucky because I know all the F1 tracks, so I would say yes. And yeah, hopefully I can keep up the streak for the next 4 weeks. I might have to miss next race, but hopefully otherwise the last 3 weeks, I'm hoping I can keep that streak up if I can't make next week's race.
Notice the lights are off in the background, so I don't see the phantom arm and the phantom foot anymore. They're not here this week, so maybe they were bad luck. Maybe this is what you needed. Maybe this will be good luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, they're bad luck. Hey, Mom and Dad, sorry if you're watching, but you guys are bad luck.
I think you told us their names last week, but I don't remember what they are now.
It was Jim and Kathy. Jim and
Kathy, that's right. Jim and Kathy. You're not bad luck, Jim and Kathy. Ignore what I said. Come back anytime. Be a phantom hand and foot again. But anyway, congrats on P10, Corey. Here's to many more in the coming weeks.
Thank you, Joey.
That was P10 Corey Precker. Justin, what a way to end the interviews.
What a way indeed, and what a way to transition into this second half of the card tonight. Because if you enjoyed the Hungaroring, you'll also enjoy the Nürburgring. Tonight, PRL's Formula 3 Series, powered by VCO, races at the Nürburgring Grand Prix Strecke to be able to see how things fare out at this GP layout. Again, Justin Prince, Joey Devin with you as we get ready to go racing for the F3s here tonight. They reach the second half of their season, a very different mapping of the schedule, keep in mind, because some of the Grand Prix circuits started off the campaign, not so much the second half in this series.
Next week, Justin, that's the big week. It's Long Beach. It's always a good race in the PRL F3 series. It's a race I kind of wish I could be participating in, but I'll be here in the booth instead, and I'll make my piece. I'll suck it up. I'll commentate the race instead of racing at Long Beach. Gosh darn it. And then after that, Interlagos, big draft track. That'll be a great race. Zolder, potentially the worst racetrack on iRacing, and we're going to the alternate layout at that, so it gets even worse. But we'll still have a lot of cars there. We'll put on a good race either way. You can go to the suckiest track in the world in the PRL F3 series. We'll still put on a pretty good race. And speaking of that, we go to Barcelona to finish the season. Another track that's not known for great racing, but somehow, with tiny little F3 cars and a long front straight, I think we'll put on a pretty good race there too.
With that, a lot to talk about when it comes to the championship side of things, because last time out, things took a turn. Alex Fournier, just 9-point score, currently his potential drop. That puts him 33 back along with Kevin Sandiego and Andrew Waring. Evolve SimSport doing well this season. 4 wins out of the 5 for the points leader.
Andrew Waring has looked very human for the last 2 weeks, though. He was dominant in the first 3 weeks. Then he had a very, very sloppy day at Zandvoort, where he still finished 5th, frankly. So how sloppy could it have been? And then at COTA last week, he had a bad qualifying. He had to pass his way up to the lead, which frankly might have been more impressive than his 3 dominant drives to kick off the season. He's proven that he's difficult to beat, but he is human, and that's going to be a good solace for Fournier and Sandiego, and even his teammate Ozzy Milway to maybe be able to fight him for the rest of the season.
Michael Coffray, a DSQ last time with the incident points costing him significant points, putting him 49 back as well in that conversation. Take a look towards the team side of SimSport. Mention how dominant their points leader has been much of the season. Their team leads 104 points ahead of Dark Horse Esports. Unit SimSports now 108 points behind. Atomic Racing doing a much better campaign compared to last year, with Evolve SimSport Apollo rounding up the top 5 so far.
Well, I think the difference, Justin, is that I'm not driving for Atomic Racing anymore. Yes. I think all my bad luck has been sucked away from them, although Steven Ritter's kind of took the brunt of a lot of it in the opening stages of the season, but that goes to show the consistency of Takeshi Kita. James Carter is picking up as many points as he can. That team knows how to do consistency, and that's why they are still in the fight with Dark Horse and Unit and all those. It's going to be a huge fight for second.
Qualifying currently underway for more drivers. They get ready for tonight's action. 10 minutes to go on the board, and qualifying taking a different look compared to some of the previous rounds. Yoyo Placio is leading the session with a 148.5. Ozzy Milring, Sebastian Coffray returns in 3rd. Kevin Sandiego, Andrew Waring, the top 5. The separation just 0.2 of a second tonight.
There's some very long straights of this track, so it can definitely pay to have a teammate or two. Kevin Sandiego here for Dark Horse Esports does have a couple of teammates in Brian DeFries and Tyler Pierre Richards. Tyler Pierre Richards is in the field tonight. He's a little bit further back. But frankly, let's just ride on board with Kevin Sandiego here as he fights down the S's. Little bit of oversteer, little bit of overcorrection. You know what we're building to here, Justin. It's Kevin Sandiego. It's Thursday night. He's in the F3 car. He's getting a little bit of a draft. But we got the final chicane here. It's not the twistier one where you normally see sports cars go to. It's a much tighter chicane, a better passing zone. But as Kevin Sandiego comes through the last corner, bop, hoot booby doo bop, hoot booby doo bop, hoot booby doo bop. Where in the world is Kevin Sandiego? No improvement. Wasn't good luck this time.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. Sandiego immediately taking the till, by the way, and immediately coming back out, so he'll try it again. There's about approximately 5 laps they can do before the checker flag for the session. Take a look at 20th. This is John Quinn for Rookie Esports. Quinn trying to find a lot of ground on the board. A 149.7, his personal best so far. Right behind Rob Campbell, right ahead of Olivier Legno.
Getting all of our weekly musical references out of the way here, because the mighty Quinn unfortunately looks a little bit less mighty than he did at COTA last week. He had that place figured out. He was doing a great job. And speaking of doing a great job, there goes Andrew Waring up the pole.
Waring to the top of the chart. Does it by nearly a 0.4 of a second. So car 33 now on top. Joey Haynes, his teammate, trying to get a tow, got a lot of help from Alex Fournier that time. Entering the second sector, he just thanked him.
Alex Fournier in that beautiful Unit Sim Sports livery, the JWC design, just recently put that on those cars with the rebrand, formerly known as ASR Esports, now known as Unit Sim Sports. And I'm always happy to see that dark purple and highlighter yellow livery. It is very, very pretty. I'm also a fan of this Evolve Sim Sport pink livery for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. You see a lot of pink liveries here in the Precision Racing League, and see if Joey Haynes can do it a little bit more justice with a little bit of help from Fournier.
See how much it helps. Personal best is a 149 flat, and that's not going to help. Nearly spins it. Looks like he'll try and see if the time helped, and that slide just cost him all the help he picked up.
It absolutely did. I don't know if there was enough help to necessarily jump San Diego, but there definitely would have been time to jump James Molaire there. Tyler Pierre Richards, Kevin San Diego's teammate, rather, just jumped up to 15th, so he might have gotten a little bit of help from his teammate. James Molaire through the chicane here, doesn't hop the curbs too hard. This is not a chicane where you can really hop the curbs. It gets the car very, very jumpy, very, very hoppy, if that's a word, and you lose absolutely all of your speed on exit. I think he might have off-tracked it there through the final corner, and he knows it because he's already given up coming to the line.
So again, Molaire having a no time put in and validated lap time. It would have been in the 150s, so just coming around just like the car did. Raymond Day also setting up in the field, 17th currently this session. Raymond Day has DNF'd, DNS'd, and disqualified himself in the past 3 rounds. So looking to turn things around for Ninja Trader Esports, a team which about 2 years ago was one of the top teams in this series.
Him and Byron Daly have both had some bad luck and a few bad races this season, but they should be a little bit higher, I think, than they are. Sebastian Coffre for Wave Italy here. Michael Coffre is in the field, but he's actually the 3rd Coffre in the order tonight. Sebastian has kind of taken control of the order. Sebastian, we've talked about this season. He's been a driver who's definitely advanced in skill. He used to be a driver who, frankly, was slower than me, and I wasn't that fast. I was fast in the F3 AMs. I was not an F3 Pro by any sense of the word, but Coffre is absolutely advanced, being pro-level fast here. That's why he's ahead of Kevin San Diego in qualifying right now. He's close to Milwain and Waring and Palacio, and he might find even more speed. He's found quite a bit of pace later on in his iRacing career.
Here's the tough thing when it comes to having all 3 Coffres in the field. In the past, when all 3 Coffres were in the field frequently, all 3 Coffres ended up having an incident. Can they all keep it clean tonight with them all in the field? The last time was DNQ, a DNF, and a DNF amongst the Coffres.
Steven Ritter's just put it up to P8. That's a great lap time for the Atomic Racing driver. Jumped Juan Coffre, speaking to the Coffres. So Steven Ritter's finally turned his season around. Last week, he finally had a race without bad luck and brought it home in the top 10. He's just put it P8 in qualifying. That was a great lap.
Keep an eye on Day, meanwhile, amongst the mid-pack runners, right behind Broomhead, nearly spinning it around. And Day not having a pretty lap as he makes his way out of the final corner, off to the start and finish line. See where Raymond Day's time flies up. It actually was quicker, despite a drift going through the final corner by a 10th.
It was a fast drift, at least. It was a fast drift for him, and he actually did, he moved up 1 spot. He beat Michael Broomhead to P16. James Molaire had a tough time on that last lap. I think he might have come back to the pits and completely reset after looping it in turn 1. But this looks like a pretty good lap so far. Looks clean through the hairpin at the bottom of the hill, up through the Michael Schumacher S now. A lot of German-themed, German-named corners at this track. Basically completely flat out through here. No worries there. Then it starts to get tough into turn 10 at Vorsteiner. Under braking, don't want to clip the grass. It's easy to spin. He's definitely getting a little bit loose, but there's a lot of low downforce setups in this field with all the straights. Oh, dear.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, there's missing the corner, and then there is that. I think he said, you know what, I'm about to crash. I'll crash in style. Sebastian Coffre on screen.
You might as well just bury yourself deep in the tire wall. I hope we get a screenshot of that, because I think there was a point. There was like a millisecond where that car was just completely within the tire wall. Sebastian's teammate and fellow Coffray, Michael Coffray, just went up to second, so there's definitely speed on the track right now. But does Sebastian have the same speed as his teammate? There's a little bit of draft from a driver ahead, I think, who might actually be Juan Coffray, but no, he's not able to improve.
You have Italy backing. There's high expectations. Meanwhile, Mr. Sneaky, currently 12th in the qualifying session. One of the higher up drivers for his team, Ritter's still in 10th. But right now, he's looking to see if he can pick up another 8/10 to try and get to the pole.
The problem with Mr. Sneaky is that if we're watching him on screen, that means he's not doing his best work. Mr. Sneaky does his best work in the shadows, in the darkness. But this has been a pretty good lap, though. This is going to be good work either way. Unfortunately, it's good work, but it's not improved work, and he's going to stay P12. But I think he'll be pretty satisfied with that. P10 and P12 for Atomic Racing, that's a pretty solid result. We'll see if they elect to go out for one more run and maybe help each other out with a little bit of a draft.
Mentioned the expectations for Wave Italy. We've seen them race in high-level events and special events, especially as Coffray hits too much curb.
But they are in high-level events. I remember a couple weeks ago when I was doing the 24-hour series Sebring broadcast, there was, in fact, a Wave Italy entry, so lots of sim racing prowess with the Wave Italy name, and the Coffrays have been doing a great job for that team in the F3 series. Michael has. Sebastian hasn't been here for the majority of the season, but when he has been here, he's definitely had pace.
Take a look at Steven Ritter's once more. Joey, to open up the curtain, how was the setup process for your team for this week's round?
Well, I don't actually know what setup they're using this week because it always differs. There's always the Robert Ridgway setup. Former Atomic Racing driver Robert Ridgway, who might be watching tonight. We'll see if we see him in the chat. He always has a setup ready. There's also the VRS setups that you can choose from. There's also occasionally the Majors Garage setups that I used to use. And there's also tweaking the VRS setups to your own usage. So it just depends on the driver. It depends on the comfort level, on what you've been practicing in. Steven Ritter's did not just hit a 124.9. Your eyes do deceive you there. But whatever setup he's got going, whatever he's been doing, whatever the captain's been doing over the course of the week, it's been working for him.
So in our words, not a lot to say. Taking a look at the 33. Yes, understandable for those who are in the know. Waring, meanwhile, in the clicking of speeds. That time to close out the session does not top his personal best. There's a look at Fournier. Expected a lot more this season for Fournier. He's still in the top 2 in points, yes, but 11th in qualifying is not what you expect to see from a former champion of the series.
It's not what I expected to see coming in either, and that might be the reason, because that was a huge slide on the exit of the chicane. If he's been doing that all session, that might be where his time has been lost here. But it's a very pretty livery. We've been complimenting it. I hope it's got some good speed here coming to the line, but I think that slide, yeah, he would have improved there. But you can see he's run exactly the same lap time with that slide. He needed to not do that to improve.
Alcio, when we checked in, was at the top of the board. Now he's nearly wrecking the car. He'll hold on to it after a few stairs through a Bilstein curve. Try and close out the lap. Checker flag is waving in the session. Alcio, Ritters, Kita, Campbell, Lucio Vargas, and Brennan Hill, who only has turned 2 laps total this session, are on track and can complete the respective lap times pending incident points. Lacio to end here, not happy with his time, pulls out as there goes Ritters. Tries to pull up, a 1:49.1 does not top his time.
I'm surprised that Steven and Takeshi and James aren't working together here to try and give each other a little bit of a draft. It's hard to organize in a qualifying session to do that because you've got to make sure you're not actually holding each other up, and it's always hard to switch back, but no draft help on any of those laps for either of the Atomic Racing drivers, so they definitely would have been able to move a little bit further forward, but they just didn't get the help they needed to be higher than 10th and 12th.
All drivers have completed their respective times they can turn. James Belair taking time to get a little bit of extra practice in for the 7th starting spot for tonight. So with that, Joey, an interesting qualifying session, but it's Waring who ends up topping them all once again for his 4th pole in 6 races.
It's very, very close, though, which gives me hope for the race, and I'm sure gives the rest of the field hope for the race. Cofre was only half a tenth off. Palacio's less than a tenth off. His teammate Ozzy Milwane's only 2/10 off. It's close in qualifying. Hopefully that means it's close in the race, too.
So as the drivers have finished up their qualifying times, they try and get their preparations in to see how we start things off tonight. 29 drivers for the Formula 3 series powered by VCO getting ready to go from iRacing's virtual Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. With all drivers completing their times, the session has moved up to race conditions. Why don't we take a glance at how we start off tonight? Waring starting on the pole by about half a tenth of a second. Michael Cofre in second. Lacio Milwane, Sebastian Cofre, the top 5. With Kevin Sandiego, where is he? He's in 6th. Belair, Juan Cofre, Joey Haynes, and Steven Ritter's your top 10. Alex Fournier in 11th. Cody Grahams starts off in 12th. Kashikita in the mid-pack today alongside Nick Horvath. And Tyler Pierre Richards start 15th. Raymond Day, Michael Broomhead, Brendan Bickdill, the top 18. Starting off 19th is Jake Potts with Brian Miles, Rob Campbell, and John Quinn. Inside the top 22, Richard Swindell's 1.4 seconds back in 23rd. Olivier Legnault got a warning last round. His starts 24th. James Toddery along with Justin Johnson and Lucio Vargas and James Carter, the last drivers to take turns and taking times. Matthew Miles did not set a time in qualifying. Let's look top to bottom at your running order tonight. 21 laps up on the board, 40 minutes, whatever comes first. Very cool conditions, even colder than the previous race. 67 degrees Fahrenheit, the track temp, 65 air temp. As cool as they can go in the sim, partly cloudy skies. In sim time, nearly noon here in Germany. And in the last couple drivers, quick thoughts, Joey, before we turn the lights off.
Just like in the last race of the Hungaroring, Michael Cofre's job right now, beat Andrew Waring into turn 1, put him off of his game, and hope you can hold him back for the rest of the race.
Waiting on Matthew Miles to be able to get things going here as we're down to the final 10 seconds of preparation. Ring once again will get a chance to start up from the pole. How does Michael Cofre play it into Yokohama S, heading off to the Mercedes Arena? We're about to find out. All drivers are ready. It's time to go racing. We're glad to have you with us from the Nürburgring. The lights are out. We're underway from Germany. And everyone going everywhere, trying to already snake around. Or to the right side, heading to the diving turn 1. Cofre lines up behind Waring, who nearly spins it. They head off to the arena section for the first time.
Always a tough pinch point into turn 1. It looks like everybody made it through clean that time. I think John Quinn had a very, very bad start. He's all the way to the back of the field after getting passed by James Carter. And Cofre's trying to fight Waring for the lead.
Michael Cofre trying to battle. There goes Kevin Sandiego into the heart of the pack. Side by side for the lead. Michael Cofre preferred left line. Heading off to Ford Curve, off to turn 7. Michael Cofre peeling away the race lead as Sebastian Cofre looks to peel away third.
And Sebastian's all over the back of Palacio. He looked to the inside, looked to the outside, eventually had to give up that. Michael Cofre, though, over the course of this season has been a short-run speed driver. Remember that. Andrew Waring's always been better over the course of the long run. He's got the lead now. He's got the advantage. But Michael Cofre needs to make sure he can keep the tires under him for 20 more laps.
Now a run for the race lead. Waring trying to take a peek. Forced to back out of it. Heading off to turn 11. Bill Stein curve to 12. The drivers already staying tightly together early on in this one. Michael Cofre with a great start to the race, already 4/10 up.
And Sebastian's still trying to fight with Palacio. Palacio's all over the place trying to defend. Sebastian Cofre is going to go to the outside into the chicane. That's not a place where you can make a move. He has to back out of it. Molaire and Milwane trying to go side by side too. But you do not want to go side by side through that chicane ever. On lap 1 especially. And I think every driver in the field knows that. It's better for your survival to just hang back.
In the first lap, Michael Cofre leading by more than half a second down the front straightaway this time around. You already see the snake effect building up. Part of the pack, some drivers already trying to think about some dives. A couple drivers did have incidents. We mentioned Kevin Sandiego, Justin Johnson also picking up mandatory repairs as a result of some of the trouble. The rest of the field, making clean miles, did not launch at all. Ritter's trying to launch his way for 10th still. Fournier looking to try and keep himself forward to gain a spot here.
Two Canadians battling it out in Germany. Very well respected between the both of them. Steven Ritters and Fournier, drivers who know each other very well, or know each other pretty well by sim racing terms, and they're definitely going to race each other with respect there, and they successfully did. Again, something about Canadian drivers. They're always nice.
Very quick drivers, keep in mind when it comes to that respective camp. We talked about the rebrand a bit. Fournier still back in 11th though, so it's all the shuffling. Still in the train with Ritters and a couple of the other drivers to work with. Love how things fared out early. Not too many big moves early on, we'll say, expecting this to be a patience race for the most part. Nick Horvath up 2 spots, for example.
Horvath has picked up the pieces. Kevin Sandiego was, of course, the big loser of lap 1. Amazingly, he didn't get any damage, though. He did end up locking up those brakes. He did end up not backing into the field, and he is still going. But Nick Horvath, who was like right behind that incident, was able to make it through. And speaking of that Kevin Sandiego incident, let's take a look at it right here. I don't know if he got help from Sebastian Coffret there. That angle doesn't tell us everything. But that is pretty late in the corner to spin on your own. I think there might have been a little bit of a tap there. Let's see up from the aerial view. Coffret coming in. Nope, that was all Kevin. Nope, forgive me. That was not Sebastian Coffret's fault. Kevin just looped it on cold tires.
Almost looked like he was going to come up in the pack, and there goes Takeshi Kita. Kita was running inside the top 12, now having to park the car. What happened to Kita just now?
The inside of Raymond Day into the chicane. Oh, he turned in a little bit early there and hopped the curb. I don't even think the contact with Day was what did the damage there. It was the sausage curb on the inside that ended up killing him there, and there goes Raymond Day around as well.
Raymond Day going around as well to 26th spot. So a lot of drivers having some troubles in the early going. Of note, Justin Johnson, despite mandatory repairs, has not repaired them yet. There's the spin for the 77. Remember, there is an elevation change, a deep one at that, through that turn 1. Still looking at the lead group, how things have played out. Placio still in 3rd, Waring in 2nd, Michael Coffret in 1st, Sebastian Coffret in 4th in the train.
Freight train, choo-choo. But Justin Johnson, I think, like you just mentioned, Justin, you mentioned that he hasn't served his black flag. I think I just saw him off my screen, so I think he might have just been disqualified. So his first race of the season, he's been brought in for Evolve Sim Sport as a 3rd teammate after Spencer Todd couldn't make the races. And speaking of Evolve Sim Sport, Ozzy Milwane's around as well. They've had some terrible luck here 3 laps in.
Milwane, a championship contender, off the circuit, off in the grass and stuck. What happened to him? Oh, wow.
It's another one of those random number generator curves. It clicks randomize, and it's like, you know what? I'll decide to spin you on this lap. I won't spin you on the lap before when you run me exactly the same way, but this time you're going to spin around. And Ozzy Milwane got bitten there. Luckily, no damage for him, though, so he can join his buddy Kevin Sandiego down back there in about 21st and fighting their way back through the field.
Sebastian Coffret trying to have a wrestling match with Miller meanwhile. Miller rubs a little bit of the right front wing. Coffret hugging the curb. This has lost them touch by far for 3rd spot. Sebastian Coffret does not want to give this up as Miller loses the grip and falls back. Here comes Juan Coffret to the rescue.
And Cody Grams as well in 7th. I think he started about 16th in this race, has been driving his way forward, and he's going to join the fray as well. There's a Coffret sandwich for James Mollaire. That's sometimes a frightening thing to be in. But Sebastian's clear now. He's going to try and run away. We'll see if Mollaire's as good on offense as he was on defense in that 1st sector.
Peek around this time to the Dunlop curve, but Sebastian Coffret does open up the door, taking the 2nd line. Rams, for reference, is about 1.5 seconds back. He had started pole position. Defensive line, Sebastian Coffret. Here's Juan Coffret. Big we'll see if Racing. Not close enough yet for the send in the 276.
This is going to be interesting coming into the chicane because he's going to have a double draft, but Mollaire is probably going to be the driver who's actually going to be able to make the move. about 2/10 back. That is within range of being able to send it into the chicane. Do you really want to do that on Sebastian Coffret? Clearly he does, and Coffret knows, again, that it's not smart to go side by side through there. You saw how it hurt Kita and Day earlier, and Moller hops the curb as well and just opens the door for Sebastian to come back at him.
Opened up the door for Juan to try and take a peek. Though forced to duck back in and try and pick up some of the draft. 17 laps to go as they go to the right side of the racetrack. See how effective the draft is already. The second grouping closing in, trying as well. Here comes Moller again. And there goes Moller to the spin in the heart of the track.
That was a nice dive to the inside, but the elevation change just bit him. He was trying to get out of the side of Michael Coffret. He got on the brakes a little bit too hard when the elevation was changing, and that's what looped him around. I think his teammate Jake Potts, no, it's not Jake Potts, that's Cody Graham's trying to race Joey Haynes. Gave him a little bit too much room there, and Sebastian Coffret's off the track as well. It's all kicking off here on lap 5. It's craziness in Germany.
Massive slow up for Sebastian Coffret, who cut about 3 different sections of grass. Raymond Day has also just had to tow. Plenty of busyness as a result of this. Joey Haynes leading this grouping 6 on back of the train. Ritters, Horvath. Ritters inside, hugs it for 9th.
Ritters and Horvath, another pair of Canadian drivers, if my memory serves me correctly. So it seems like the Canadians are just destined to meet each other on track tonight. This has been Horvath's most aggressive and honestly probably best race of the season so far. He's doing a great job trying to battle with Ritters. Barely had a nose to the inside, and there he goes around. That's a jinx once more. Nick Horvath loops it around, trying to be nice and stay out of the side of Steven Ritters, and he oversteered it a little bit too much, and now he might be beached on the grass.
No, he isn't. Yeah, just waiting for the right spot. Here comes another spot for a send. Another poke, another prod, another bump on the turtles, though. It's Joey Haynes trying to play defense on Grams. Grams over the back wing to the final corner as he's got the better run.
Cody knows that this is the better place to make the move, but he's actually not going to have the run because he had to pull out of the draft early. Alex Fournier is going to get a double draft here, 2 cars wide. He's going to send it 3 wide into turn 1. He's going to back out of it, but Joey Haynes is going to back out even more. So he's going to get Haynes, and Cody Grams is going to get both of them.
Grams moves up as a result of the fight. Now looks to take off and run away. The next pack is about 20 car lengths up to the Coffrets. Fournier, as a result of all this, taking advantage to also move up to 7th, keep in mind. So he's been picking his spots after the slow start in the opening laps. So far, so good on lap 6, coming up to 15 laps to go in this race. Your thoughts so far, Joey, on how this could play out into the rest of this run with how aggressive things have already turned out?
It's almost impossible to predict with how crazy everything has been in the opening stint, but I think you can already see Andrew Waring is turning things around up front. He's already closed up to the back of Coffret after just kind of cruising a little bit, about a second behind. So that's going to shift around, I think, as we get later in the run and as Waring exercises his better tire saving abilities. I think that'll help Alex Fournier, who we're watching right now as well. He's a driver who's very good at the end of the run. Cody Grams is as well. He won potentially the most difficult track of the season 2 weeks ago at Zandvoort. So he's going to be another driver who should be able to chase his way forward, but he's got to make sure he isn't fighting with Fournier here, or else he won't be able to catch the 2 Coffrets.
By the way, we mentioned Justin Johnson not fixing a meatball flag. Guess what? His reward of ignoring the meatball flag for the entire race was a disqualification moments ago. He is done for the night.
That's a certified ouch and oof. I don't know if he was just unfamiliar with the rules of the league, but that's not a league rule. That's an iRacing rule. You have to come in to serve your meatball flag within 3 laps. So hopefully he was aware of that. Maybe he just didn't care and he just wanted to end the race either way with that damage. But I hope we see Justin Johnson for 4 more weeks. It would be a shame to see him debut and then never come back after a meatball.
Trouble in the heart of the pack. Brendan Vitkill, who nearly missed the full qualifying session. Going around in the heart of the pack, he had gone into 12. Now drops back again. Here's why.
Another Evolve SimSport driver running into trouble. Another Evolve SimSport Apollo driver at that running into trouble. Nobody, I think there was a little bit of a clip from somebody coming by there, but other than that, That's a difficult place to spin. That's a difficult place for everybody to avoid you, but well done, everybody, for avoiding that. And now Ritters and Broomhead go to battle.
Driver you were talking about was Potts, by the way. Also just cut the course by a country mile. Take a look at the battle on screen. See how things play out to the outside. Will that work? No.
This is like an old classic PRL battle. Ritters versus Broomhead. Getting flashbacks to like 2 years ago, Justin. I want to be in the center of this battle here. Broomhead, another very, very smart driver. Doesn't really go for aggressive moves. Andrew Waring goes for an aggressive move on Kofre, though. They hit.
They make contact. Kofre holds on. Here comes Placio to take advantage of all this. Placio has gained up nearly 4 seconds as a result of the shuffling.
I don't know if Waring has a little bit of damage from that, but he was struggling on acceleration there. Kofre's actually going to give the draft to Waring, and now he's going to switch back to Palacio to help them both here. He needs them both to keep fighting side by side. Palacio is going to fight with Waring, but he's not going to be able to. Waring's got the inside, then he's got the position.
No significant damage, it appears, but here is what happened. They had a buffer, they had a nice cushion, and then the cushion went away. There was a defensive line for Kofre for several laps before this contact boiled it over.
That's kind of weird from Andrew Waring. He's not normally the driver who would go for a dive like that. Or at least over the course of this season, he wasn't the driver who would go for a move like that, but clearly he thought he had the pace to do so cleanly, and Kofre said, no, I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to fight you for this. And Rob Campbell, oh my goodness, loops it around and barely avoids getting murdered there.
Looks like the right side tire was a bit off, though, I noticed on that play. Already coming up towards the midway point of this race quickly. The top three now all grouped together. Michael Kofre, this time with a buffer. Waring tries to outbrake to eat it up. Able to nearly get to the gearbox.
Waring's almost as close as he was on the last lap. I think he might be a little bit further back, so I don't know if he's going to elect to go for the same move that he went for last time. If I was him, I'd probably be backing off here and going for the move into turn 1 instead, because I know that it's probably a little dangerous to go side by side with Michael through the chicane here, and he's going to do exactly that. He's essentially going to be forced to do that. But it is a bad exit from him out of the chicane, so he might not even be close enough to Michael to go for a move in the wall.
It almost looked like Waring got a bit of the turtles, I noticed, Joey. That might have cost him the time.
It did. He was really jumpy, and you know physics, when your tires aren't on the ground, it is basically impossible to accelerate and to get speed up. So Andrew Waring just got held up a little bit there, maybe getting a little bit hot under the collar on his exit, trying to catch up to Kofre, and he's about half a second back now. He's got to do all the work over again.
These drivers a 3-second buffer for the rest of the top 5. Ritters still having a wrestling match with Broomhead for the top 10 spots meanwhile. 9th and 10th, James Belair also standing back and watching this.
Belair had a huge lockup into turn 1, I think trying to stay out of the back of Broomhead. He's lucky he didn't spin around like he did a little bit earlier at turn 1. Broomhead's going to close it down to Ritters. He's going to peek to the inside, but that's not a place where you can really make a move to the inside unless you're absolutely side by side. I think he was just trying to set Steven offline a little bit. He was unsuccessful, though, and he's going to blink out a little bit, and I think that might be Rob Campbell in even more trouble.
This is the wrestling match and a half, currently with Lucio Vargas for 18th. Everybody kicking up smoke. It's James Donnery leading up this pack right now, trying to close up to John Quinn. It was mentioned by his team they were expecting Quinn to be quicker in the race pace. Has been able to try to run away from the battles as there goes Milwain with the send in the backdrop from Swindells.
Yeah, that's Rob Campbell's teammate, Richard Swindells, so forgive me there. Richard was actually the driver who almost got into Rob Campbell when he spun, so he's probably a little bit spooked right now after almost getting eliminated, but he's still alive. Lucio Vargas is still alive, but he's finding it very, very difficult to pass James Doherty here. All these Britannia iSports drivers, they're not always the easiest to pass. They know how to defend.
Absolutely. It's a peek from Vargas for a moment, we noticed there, but now losing ground. Will this open up the chance for Milwain? No, Milwain waiting for another chance.
And Milwing can afford to wait a little. Well, he's not going to have to wait because Lucio Vargas elects to kick off the pit cycle here as we're basically halfway. You do the math. Where exactly is halfway in an odd-numbered race? Lucio Vargas says it's around lap 10. He's going to get out of the train and get his one pit stop.
Scheduled stop there. Lichnoda's also pit. He had significant wing damage, though. Looking back to the leaders. No move from Waring. Still looking about how it was previously before the contact. Only this time a 3-car pack instead of 2. They are ditching Placio again.
Almost wondering if Julio's trying to save a little bit behind these two, and then he's going to elect to jump them both in the pit cycle with that little bit of fuel he's able to save, but I don't think that's actually the case. I think Coffray and Waring have just picked up the pace quite a bit here. They're both probably quicker over the course of this stage of the run than Palacio is. And they have just been gapping him a little bit, but once Waring elects to go side by side with Coffray again, which I'm sure he will at some point, that's exactly what Palacio needs to get back in the hunt.
All over the track for a moment with some of the drifting around. That will help Palacio gain up a little bit of time at least. And the time lost down the straightaways. 148.8 and 149 flats for the top two. 149.1 last time. Palacio halfway this time. Expecting these drivers to extend the fuel tanks for the scheduled stop. Well, 5 seconds of fuel that Vargas had at the halfway point.
Waring was better through the chicane that time. There was no clunka over the curbs. He still does not quite quick enough through the third sector to catch up to Coffray, to stick with Coffray. And that's always the difficult trade-off. That's always the worst position to be in. You always seem to find yourself in it, where you know you're faster than the driver ahead, but the one sector you need to be faster in to actually make the move, that's where you lose your advantage. And that's what happened to Andrew Waring in comparison to Coffray right now. Molaire's going to dive into the inside of Ritters, and that was a straightforward move in a corner where he's had some trouble.
Yeah, made it stick. Showed determination. Back up to 9. They have lost touch to Joey Haynes, though. Haynes Donnery, by the way, hit this past time by its respective group. Current groupings: Coffray, Waring, Placio is adrift. The Coffrays of Sebastian 1 are 4th and 5th. Rams, Fournier, Haynes are grouped together. Blair, Ritters, Brunehead grouped together. Air Richards, San Diego grouped together. Potts, Miles grouped together. And Quinn Milwing grouped together. Looking at front, grouping still. Here comes the run for Waring. He wants to go. He wants to send, and they take themselves out. The top two crash it. Placio to the race lead.
You could see that coming there when Andrew Waring elected to send it to the inside. That was a late choice. It was a late decision to send it to the inside, and that car was not stopping. Michael both of them are lucky to still be rolling here. I'm amazed that there's no damage on either of those cars, and they're about to meet each other in the chicane again. I don't know if this is a very good thing to be happening right now, but Waring's going to back out of it. He's not going to send it on Coffray, and that's because he's too busy fighting with Juan Coffray behind.
Michael Coffray does have wing damage on the left end plate. Waring, not so much. Waring stays out, nearly ran over by Juan. Here's a look at the replay. You can see it coming the second he tried the move.
Yeah, Coffray said, I'm going to defend. I'm going to go to the outside. You can stay behind me. Waring elected to send it to the inside. He wasn't really there, though. You can see it from the helicopter perspective. He was to the inside, but that was a late lunge. He wasn't completely alongside Coffray coming into the corner, and that's completely on Andrew Waring there. Complete late dive, wiped both him and Coffray out of the lead there, out of the win. Let's see what happened to Juan Coffray into turn 1. Did he end up getting into Waring again?
This is right after we took a look, and the answer is nearly. Did tow it because he did get hit. I think that was Fournier.
Fournier was the bad luck driver there. I'm trying to see if he's still on track. Yeah, he's still fine. He got away with that, but frankly, I'm still amazed that Coffray and Waring both hit each other at about 120 miles per hour, and both of them have no damage other than a teensy little bit of wing damage by Coffray that he just got fixed.
Teensy bit. It was a 12-second pit stop to change the wing.
I didn't realize it was that bad. I thought he was going to get away with it, but no, he's elected to change the front wing. It's that bad.
Yeah. A big change, and Placio has had the race fall in his lap now with a 5-second cushion. Sebastian Coffray, the next nearest car with no help.
I'm not going to say you can cruise to the end because there are still 9 laps to go. Andrew Waring is a very fast driver. Sebastian Coffret is a very fast driver. But this is the best position to find yourself in with a 5-second gap. You can kind of focus on your own race. You don't need to be looking behind you. You don't need to be looking at your relative. You just make sure you make no mistakes and try and keep control.
148.8 last time. Waring cycled to third with all the craziness. Behind Sebastian Coffret. He was 4/10 slower than the leader. Sebastian Coffret lost half a second. Waring trying to close up 2 seconds to get up to the 28 to have a shot. Cody Graham's also within range. Still keeping an eye on Haynes and Fournier. Fournier now with the chance of the top 5 with all this.
The legitimate pit cycle is kicking off here. The mighty John Quinn, has just come in. So again, that tells me that the storm is a-brewing. You can smell the rain coming. Everybody should be coming in here soon. Maybe 2 or 3 more laps at the absolute latest. Julio Palacio is probably going to wait for as long as possible because he wants to make sure he doesn't get stuck in traffic with his big lead. But for everybody else, especially if you're in one of those packs deeper in the field, you might want to pit earlier and try and get yourself out of it.
Is that possibility? Absolutely. With how this has gone along and how aggressive the battles have been in some cases. And a couple of the drivers might be also in the range of that, like Valera and Ritters who are close. Milwane's charging ahead. I want to touch upon one thing. Remember Kevin Sandiego spun around. Yes, one driver has been in front of him, at least a couple others as well nearly. He is up to 9th after the spin. He is faster than the leader some laps. Sandiego is, if you've looked at how he's charged the pylon on the 88.
Well, he's a sticky-fingered filcher from Berlin down to Belize, and he just navigates his way through the world in complete silence. Nobody ever quite knows where he is, but the mystery of where in the world is Kevin Sandiego is solved when we see him on our screens again, because he's done a spectacular job, like you said, of driving his way through the field. He didn't get frustrated from that little mistake. He didn't go for any stupid moves and take himself out fighting for 18th. He's just been conservative and consistent, and he's done a great job, and he's going to get a top 10 for his efforts. Hopefully.
Fournier, by the way, just pit. With scheduled stop 4.5 seconds as expected for the fuel time. Passed on by Allaire. Couple others. The 41, that's Potts. Remember, had contact guards as part of the incidents earlier. Didn't get wing damage, though. He was lucky. Milwane looking for a send up his left side.
Another late move, almost loses the rear, trying to switch things around here in the stadium section there, or in the first section of the track, rather. The stadium section comes up at the hairpin, technically, at this place. But Milwane really went for a switchback, and it was a little bit too much of a switchback because he's actually lost touch with Jake Potts coming down into the hairpin.
Just reset yet again. This is 27 seconds back of where Palacio is on the racetrack. Potts having to take a higher line. Milwane able to just hug that curbing.
It's not quite banked like the unpronounceable turn 2 or turn 3 at Zandvoort is. So the outside line doesn't always work, but Milwane is honestly probably just trying to stay out of the dirty air. He's trying to run his own line, and it did work for him here, and now he's going to have the best chance to dive it to the inside of the chicane, and that's a great exit off of this corner here, off of turn 11. He's going to have a great shot.
Lining it up. He looks on the long way to the left side of the racetrack. Let's give it to him. A little bit deeper for Milwane. Yes, he ends up giving a bit of the space. Milwane moves up. Takes one more spot on his recovery drive to 11th, coming to 7 to go for this group.
Just been notified in the chat, Justin, that Ryan Miles, I did notice that he was in the top 10, but he did not start in the top 10. Another driver moving his way forward through the field for old Monkey Butt Rides.
I don't know where that team name came from.
I do want to know, so Mr. Monkey Butt in the chat, please tell us where that came from. Give us the lore.
I don't even know where to go with that. I noticed the team name for tonight. It's an interesting name, let's put it that way. Anywho, this battle has separated out.
I was about to say, I think since you were out for the last weeks, I think the Monkey Butt Ride's team name change was after your time. So this is the first time Justin has been Monkey Butt Cord or something like that. So he's finally been converted. Monkey Butt Pilled. That's what I meant to say.
Okay. I have no idea how to react to that in the way I'm thinking. By the way, Nick Horvath just had an incident in turn 1, able to hold on to it though. 6 laps to go. This time around, the leader's still yet to duck down. Cody Grams, though, just indicated to the entire field he wants to pit.
Thank you, Cody Grams. That's very helpful for us here in the booth because that takes some of the mystery out of it. That tells us that we actually know some strategy for once. Palacio's in as well. I think Coffray might follow him in, but he might go one more lap. No, Coffray's in, Waring's in, Grams is in. That means everybody's in. And also Michael Broomhead rather, is into 16th.
Just about everybody at the end of their tanks, 15 laps the full distance it seems. See how things play out now for the stops. Palacio already is done. He had a longer stop at 5.3 seconds. Sebastian Coffray 6.2. Waring a bit quicker in the 4-second bracket. Grams and Haynes also in that bracket and side by side.
I'm glad they solved that. You don't want to be going side by side on pit exit here, but Grams jumps Haynes and Waring jumped Coffray as well. Waring's up into 2nd.
Waring indeed with the shorter pit stop. Less fuel in the tank, trying to make it just the 6 laps. Well, as a result here, the grouping 4th, 5th, and 6th packed together for this.
And there's Fournier as well, who magically avoided damage when there was a spin in front of him at turn 1. He's still got the fight going. He's got literally every single Unit Sim Sports teammate in the chat cheering him on. I think I've literally seen every single one of them. I saw Vincent Trepanier, I saw Caven Norris, I saw Philippe Magnan. They're all out cheering their teammate on tonight.
Indeed. Still trying to also battle Michael Coffray for reference. His wing change put him back to 7th on the track. And that's with a 4-lap undercut. That is way far behind this respective pack. I was curious where he is currently. Coming up to 5 laps to go. Tightly packed together for the 4th place train. The lead separation 4.3 seconds.
And Arnaud Genet just popped out of his gopher hole as well. So even more Unit Sim Sports drivers cheering their teammate on here. Alex needs to get Cody Grams out of the way, though, because Cody Grams has given the double draft to Joey Haynes. Oh, dear.
Remember Sebastian Coffray? He just lost all his time and is now in this pack. Also behind him, they're starting to bump James Mollaire and Steven Ritters. Here comes Kevin Sandiego.
Oh, Steven Ritters might have damage here. I think he hit the same exact curb that Takeshi did. No, he doesn't have damage. That was a slowdown because he cut the curb a little bit too much. So, false alarm. Steven Ritters is still okay, but he had to let Sandiego by there because he accidentally ended up cutting that curb hugely.
I was just about to say for that respective group we're keeping an eye on, it has a 4th car though. Sebastian Coffray had also some troubles in that same section and ended up dropping him to 9 seconds back of the lead. Now he is potentially in danger of getting passed by Grams.
Cody Grams would love a podium here. That would be a great result for him after starting outside of the top 10. We know he has more race pace. We know he literally has race-winning race pace in this F3 car this season. But he's done a great job of driving his way through the field here. Coffray locks up coming down the hill into the hairpin. He's definitely feeling the pressure. He was completely in control earlier. He didn't have to worry about Cody Grams. But now that he's actually in his relative, now that he sees a 0 in front of the number next to Cody Grams, he's going to be really feeling the pressure now.
Not close enough to get attacked yet, but it depends on how he handles this pressure indeed. Now Grams within about 6 car lengths. Haynes about 5 car lengths back of that from Haynes. Another 6 back for Fournier. They make their way to coming up 4 laps to go through Sector 3.
Coffray far more conservative through the chicane that time. Didn't hop the curbs at all. We might see a little bit of curb hopping here because Kevin Sandiego, he was going to try and go around the outside of Mollaire there. Elected not to, backed out of it. So no curb hopping from either of them. But we know Kevin Sandiego has the pace here. Look for him to get a great run out of the final corner. It was a decent run. He might be close enough to go for a dive into one.
Chance this is the highest Santiago may get here. Michael Kofre has already ran away from this pack by 4 seconds. Sandiego, better line, floats to the right. Not fully alongside though for a chance with Malaire. Has a good run though, forced to check it up.
He's definitely thinking, where's the best place to make this move? I don't want to make a move in a place where it's actually going to hurt me and actually put Steven Ritters in contention to steal my position as well. I think he agrees with you, Justin, that Michael Kofre might be out of the question here, but he's just thinking about what is the best place to get by James Malaire without hurting myself, and I think he might get a shot into the hairpin here. If he can get to the inside, that'll be a pretty good place to do it.
He wants to get it down the outside, blipping the throttle, move to the right. Trying to poke Malaire off the line. Malaire able to hug his line. Now we'll have to reset. Next best chance out of turn 12 up to turn 14, 15.
He definitely could have sent it to the inside there, but he's thinking championship-wise. He's thinking about preserving his own result here, and he wouldn't be able to preserve any result if he sent it to the inside of Malaire in the hairpin there, because Malaire was definitely turning in and definitely wouldn't have let them go side by side there. But again, it's a good exit by Sandiego out of 12. Similar exit to Cody Graham's, but Cody Graham's elects not to go for the move up here for third.
And that battle starting to close up. Does Sandiego make a move in the same section? No. Sandiego, bit harder in, nearly drifts it. 3 laps to go in this race. We're now with a big buffer for the time being up towards the front. At the end of the front straightaway, Nash Kofre and Cody Grahams have nearly ditched Joey Haynes and Alex Fournier. It's all coming together here to close things up.
It's all going to be battles for the rest of the top 10. Julio Palacio with a 4-second gap. Andrew Waring hasn't actually been quicker than Palacio at all, so he's not going to be fighting for the win. Palacio can basically cruise home for the next 3 laps and ensure that he doesn't make a mistake because he has that cushion. He can play with that. James Malaire doesn't have much of a cushion because Kevin Sandiego is definitely going to come back at him, but Kevin was really bad through the first sector there. He's got a lot of work to do to catch back up.
Reaching the limits, yes, he's falling back towards Steven Ritters, in fact, with how rough this lap has gone so far. About 2.5 laps to go in this race. By the way, Palacio about 4 seconds ahead of Waring still. Waring had set the fastest lap time of the race, but ended up nearly spinning it around the next lap. Here's a look at Grams again. He looks to try and send a telegram to Kofre to battle for the podium again.
I think he might have scraped a couple of grams off of the floor of that car, though, because he Tony Hawk ollied over that curb on the outside there and just killed any run he would have had here down the back straight. He's going to be thinking about all those places on the track with only 2 laps to go at the line. You can't afford to make any mistakes like that. You need to take advantage of the few opportunities that are left.
Got a good run out of the exit, though. And a blip from Sebastian Kofre. Rams trying to block the line to the right side of the racetrack. Haynes trying to find any draft he can. Grams looking way right, takes it left, heads off through turn 1 of the outside, off to the arena section. Having to back it down as he nearly missed the corner. Sebastian Kofre, solid defense.
Yeah, Sebastian was never going to open the door to the inside, so I don't even know why Cody tried to go for that. Maybe he thought he could spook Sebastian, but Sebastian Kofre is not a driver that is going to be spooked by your aggression. He is going to match it with righteous aggression in the opposite direction. So that door was never going to open. Cody Grams has now learned that, and he's got to find a different way to make the move.
A few more chances to go, about a lap and a half to go. Able to see how things play out. The clouds cover over the racetrack to close out this one. Grams, hard send to the corner to try and get to the rear wing, gets within 3 car lengths. And an interesting one from Nürburgring, Joey.
It has been. It's been enthralling, even with the race up front kind of being solved here with a couple laps to go. That's only because we had a wreck or a crash for the win between Waring and Coffre. That's what opened the door for Palacio. It's just been incredible storylines all the way through, and Sebastian Coffre just clipped the gravel there on the outside. That's going to slow him down again. Cody Grams is still going to be in contention on the last lap.
All he has to do is no mistakes. Next few corners to have a shot for the white flag lap. White flag waving up in the stand. Final time around. Palacio crossed the stripe now to take that white flag. Wearing 3.2 seconds back. Did trim the gap by a second and a half. The air battles going on is this one. Potts and Broomhead. This is for 14th. Oxy Motorsports machine hugging the preferred line. Hold on firm now as Broomhead has to reset.
Broomhead should get a better shot here into turn 1 if he can stick with Potts through the final corner. He can. It's a better run for Broomhead. He should be able to get a shot into turn 1, and the mighty John Quinn in the background is also going to be on the scene for a three-way fight for this last spot in the top 14.
Broomhead a little bit deeper on the brakes, not too much though. Get a full send on that time. Make the way through the arena section. Broomhead struggling with some of the aero wash in the midst of these corners.
He's going to try and switch it back a little bit here, but that's been a difficult move all race long. It hasn't really worked because the switch back in that corner, you think it will work. You think it's like any other 90-degree corner where that kind of move does work, but it's actually not really a 90-degree corner at turn 4. It's a little bit of weird banking, so trying to do what Broomhead did there never really works.
Interesting indeed in how things have played out throughout this race, to say the very least. He did get carved down to under 3 seconds this time around, but Palacio looking to close it on out. The battle forming up again between these two for the edges of the top half of the field. One more send coming here at the end of the racetrack. Palacio is coming to the line now. Palacio with his second win in F3 here at the Nürburgring. Waring gets within 2.5 seconds. Sebastian Coffre third. The fight's not over yet between Broomhead and Potts. Potts, one more chance. When it goes side by side into the chicane, can't do it. Broomhead able to make the spot up for 14th.
Made the move early, made the move before braking, and he's able to take 14th for that. So well done, Michael Broomhead. Well defended, well offended as well, well battled. And he's going to get P14 for all his troubles. And Ryan Miles as well from a little bit further down in the field picks up P13 for Monkey Butt Rides.
Indeed he does. That's the drivers coming across the stripe. Rob Campbell just had an issue on the final lap. He just lost all his spots. He is back to 24th position. He was 21st at the start of the lap. Very slow as Vitkill and Horvath fight away ahead of him and take the spots away from the 93.
I think he's out of fuel.
Absolutely sputtering, and now he's fully out.
Yeah, TML Motorsports driver. He's probably going to be saying, I'm an FML Motorsports driver right now because he's just barely underfueled the car. He needed like a quarter more of a lap. He's still going to make it to the line, but he's going to get 24th for all of his efforts instead of, I think, 21st where he was before.
So Campbell becomes the final finisher of the race. All finishers, who do not crash out at least, end up finishing on the lead lap. Let's take a look at your unofficial results tonight. After dramatics change the outcome for the battle for the race lead before the pit stops, El Palacio takes advantage, able to win by 2.5 seconds over Waring. Waring involved in the contact, able to recover well. Sebastian Coffre able to give Wave Italy Racing Team a top 3 after Michael Coffre's issues. Cody Grams and Joey Hames, the top 5. Alex Fournier recovers from a rough qualifying run up to 6th. Michael Coffre, after a wing change, gets back to 7th. Malaire in 8th. One of the drivers of the race, Kevin Sandiego, after spinning the opening lap from the top 10, gets back there to 9th. 3 spots back of a starting spot, while Steven Ritter's out the top 10. Tower Pierre Richards very quietly gets to 11th, with Millway's recovery getting him to 12th. Miles and Broomhead, along with Potts and Quinn, top 16. Visco Vargas, Richard Swindells, James Dotery, and Olivier Lechno, the top 20. Rest of the finishers, James Carter, Nick Horvath, Brendan Vitkill, and Rob Campbell, who ran out of gas on the final lap. Juan Cofre, a DNF tonight after a spin out of turn 1. Justin Johnson tested the DNF system by getting himself disqualified after a meatball flag started off the race. Raymond Day, one lap earlier, spun out. Kashikida also picking up significant damage, did not finish. Matthew Miles did not take the green flag tonight. Waring's still able to pick up the top fastest lap. Is charged to get up to this car. El Placio, still the driver, comes away with the victory, leading the most laps. He had to get a little bit of luck, yes, to be able to get himself in that position. Placio going to be happy regardless, picking up win number 2 in F3. Julio, how would you describe your feelings after this one, coming away with a victory here in Germany?
Yeah, it was awesome. What a battle with Mike and Andrew. It was like I was there with them, and I was like, wait a minute, these guys, maybe something will happen. And boy, when that happened, I jumped on it. And then it was just keeping the car on track. But it was great. It was an awesome race, and it was just a lot of fun.
What was the reaction like when you realized these two have just taken each other up for the lead? I'm the leader now with 5 seconds a buffer of.
Yeah, that's actually one of the hardest things to drive, because it's like, how hard do you push? How hard do you not, right? You don't want to take yourself out. So it was a lot of fun, and I just turned everything off and just said, drive, hit your marks, and go, So it was definitely a blessing. I think they had a little bit of pace on me. I could stay with them, but man, it was hard to stay close. The cars are all over the place and you miss all your points. So I just dropped back a tiny bit and see if something could happen.
Very interesting way to come away with this victory tonight. But the next time out, the walls get even tighter. It's Long Beach next. Your thoughts on going to a street circuit?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to be out of town due to work, so I'm going to miss it. So I'm going to be heartbroken, but I definitely look forward to coming back the week after. I hate to miss it, and I can't take the simulator, with me when I travel. So it's tough.
Well, congratulations either way on the victory tonight, Julio.
Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate everything that you all do.
Julio Placio coming away with his second career victory, the F3s tonight. Does it by 2.5 seconds over Andrew Waring. Speaking of Andrew Waring, he'll be standing by as well. Joey getting the chance to catch up with him after the fireworks go off for the battle for the race lead. He gets back to second, Joey.
Indeed. Well, what we got to ask you about, Andrew? You and Michael Cofre under braking coming into turn 10 there. What happened?
Well, first of all, I just want to say congrats to Julio. Julio did a great race. Obviously took advantage of what happened. Yeah, I kind of went back and watched the replay afterwards, obviously, just to see what happened. But I don't know. I felt like I was alongside of him, and I was definitely getting in there deeper than him every lap because I was almost running into him there a couple times. Based on the moves he was kind of performing earlier in the race, I knew he was going to be pretty aggressive. Chopped my nose a couple times, but this time I was fully alongside of him. I don't know. We'll let the PRL stewards handle it. I thought I was alongside of him, and I should have been given room. Obviously, he thought I wasn't far enough alongside of him, and didn't give me room, and we crashed. And thankfully, I got a little bit of damage, but not much, and I was able to continue. But yeah, it's a good race up until then.
What was it like in those dying stages of the race, though? Because you were within a chance of catching Julio Palacio, but I can see on my incident points now that you were up to 11 incident points. Were you thinking about that limit and not pushing especially hard at the end?
Yeah, I mean, I got 8 with Michael alone. First in the chicane when we went side by side, which was ridiculous in its own right. But then I got a couple off tracks as well, trying to push to get him back in, and I backed it off, and then I kind of just accepted that there was about a 3-second gap, I think, with 3 laps to go and 6 seconds behind me. I just shouldn't push my luck because I was already at 11. So happy with second in the end. I mean, it's still a strong result. I shouldn't be disappointed with it. And another teammate, Joey, finished 6th. So I'm beyond ecstatic for the team. Or 5th, sorry. He finished 5th, I think. So still a good result for the team. Unfortunately, Austin and a couple other the new guys had a bit of issues, but you know, it's still a fun race, good track, good series, good drivers. I'm really enjoying it still.
Next week's Long Beach. It's the one I've been circling all season. It's my favorite track to race an F3 car at. What do you think is going to happen next week? Are you looking forward to it?
I never raced an F3 car there before, but
Wow.
I did a GT3 in a Lotus 79 race in another series. And I can't imagine it can be harder than that Lotus 79, but we'll see if I mark my words next week. I'm looking forward to it regardless.
That's probably a unique practice. I don't think anybody else in the field was doing the Lotus 79s at Long Beach. Was that in the Majors series?
And I'll tell you, the other Evolve guys will be, so maybe that'll be the track. That'll be the track when the green cars return that they, maybe we lock out like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Who knows? Who knows?
We'll see if there's Lotus 79 to F3 transition there. But we wish you good luck next week, all the same. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys, and I'm sure it was a great broadcast. I want to thank you for doing it, and PRL for putting it on, and all the guys at Evolve, and all of our sponsors. So thank you.
It was indeed a good broadcast, and Justin Andrew Waring kind of put us on for quite an exciting race up front.
Absolutely. It was an intriguing one to say the very least tonight, especially with the fireworks that went off for the race lead. But the question mark is going to be how the fireworks play out at Long Beach, because November the 3rd, those drivers take green lights at about 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It could be a tough one.
It definitely is a tough track, but when you find the groove at Long Beach, it's almost like the walls aren't even there. It's such a great track. It's such a great track to race open wheel cars at. You can pass. It's difficult to do so. And there also is the possibility of having a little bit of a pile up deeper in the field. We've had that in the PRL before at Long Beach. It's just going to be a great race. It's so perfectly suited to these cars. I can't wait to come back in one more week, Justin.
Can't wait either. With that note, we'd like to thank you for tuning in for tonight's coverage here for Precision Racing League for its IRO4s as well as their Formula 3s. Away the race. We're on the racetrack. For our producer, Hugo Wees, for my co-announcer, Joey Tevin, just Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Precision Racing League powered by VCO. Good night, everyone.